Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming for the Bhakti Shastri class. I know it's raining outside, and I'm deeply appreciative of all the devotees who have come today here. My apologies for starting the class a little late today. This will be our penultimate class, one class after this, and then we will have our exam on March 15th. So, last week we were supposed to have the class, but because we had Nityananda Prabhu's appearance day in the temple, we moved it to this week. Next week is the long weekend, so if the devotees choose to, we can have the class the week after next, so that we can, that's one option, but if you want to continue with the next week, we can do that. So we can kind of take a vote towards the end of this class for that. Today we'll do the 8th chapter, Hare Krishna. So we'll start off with Mangalacharan prayers and then we can go.
Check if everybody online is able to hear and
Sure.
do that.
So is everybody who's online, I also welcome them. And I was wondering if you are able to hear clearly and able to see and make sure that everything is working okay. Just if not, then just either you can call or let us know. Is that okay, Jai Kanai Prabhu? Right. So we'll start off with our Mangalacharan prayers. For those who wish to follow on the book, it's on page 1. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhayascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi chakaschana parihare pilajjame kim bhruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva avalambanam Tvai jata paradhanam Tvameva sharanam prabho Govinda vallabhe radhe प्रार्थये त्वमहं सदा त्वदीयम् इति जानातु गोविन्दो मां त्वया सह राधाराधितराधेशा राधिका प्राणवल्लभा राधारमण वन्दे त्वं राधिका प्रेम निर्जिता. Hare Krishna. So before we start, I just want to thank you. Before we start, I just want to take few minutes to remember His Divine Grace, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, whose appearance day is today. It was he who said to Srila Prabhupada that he should translate this message to West. And he also gave another most important instruction, that if you ever get money, print books. So those two instructions have, which were taken by Srila Prabhupada as his heart and soul, as manifested into this beautiful and wonderful society with so many wonderful books. And today we are sitting here and discussing Bhagavad Gita. So let's just remember that great personality, because of which we are here today. We have our spiritual master who is Guru, and we have His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is our Param Guru, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the Param Guru. So he's our Param Guru. Yeah, great grandfather. So today we'll do the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So before we start with 8th chapter, let's turn to page 361, wherein it's mentioned the 29th verse. Those who are online, we are going to read the 7th chapter, 29th verse and 30 verses, and we get a glimpse into the next chapter. Text 29, Jara marana mokshaya mam ashritya yatanti ye te brahma tad vidhu krishnam adhyatmam karma chakilam. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotion. Take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Text 30. Sadi bhutadi daivam mam sadi yajnam chaye viduhu prayana kale pichamam te vidur yukta chetasa. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation, of the demigods, and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So Arjuna, Krishna says few words, like he says, Te Brahma, means in the 29th verse, he says what is Brahman, and Adhyatmam means the spiritual natures. Adhyatmam, and then Karma is also mentioned. In the next verse, he says, Sadi Bhutadi Daivam. I am the Adi Bhuta, and I am the Adi Yajna. Yadi Yajnam Chavedi. And Prayana Kale Pichikatam means at the time of death, those who know me or those who understand me, they come to me. So using these few two verses, Arjuna asks the questions, what do you mean by that? And that's what we are going to read. So if you can please turn to page 365, then we'll start the 8th chapter, titled Attaining the Supreme. Everybody there? 365? All right. 8th chapter, first verse. Kindly repeat after me. Arjuna Vacha Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam Kim karma purushottama Adi bhutam cha kim proktam Adidaivam kimuchyate. Okay, Ma, you can start and you can do the translation. You can go. It's. I don't think it's on. Is the green light on? Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Hello.
No, it's not working. Hare Krishna, welcome.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the Please explain this to me.
Wonderful, thank you. So, how many questions did Arjuna ask? What is Kim Tad Brahma? What is Brahman? Kim Adhyatmam? Adhyatmam means what is the spiritual nature? And then Kim Karma? What is karma? And then the thing is Adibhutam. What is this Adibhuta or material manifestation? What is, and then Adidaivam. What is Adidaiva? 6 questions are being asked. Text 2. Kindly repeat after me. Adi yajna katam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale chakatam jneyosi niyatatmabhihi. Good. Somebody can give Bhagavad Gita to the two Bhagavad Gitas to them. Can you give Bhagavad Gitas now to those who are, okay, sorry, go ahead. No, to these 2 people, Bhagavad Gita, they can get a copy.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, anyway, we'll figure that out. Sorry, just go ahead. No, just go ahead. Okay, go ahead. You can give 1 copy.
Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
So here, 2 things. It is Dheeraj. Just you can give and give the page, and you can come. Thank you. So in the second question, second verse, Arjuna asks few more questions. Overall, there are 6 things. What is Kim? What is Brahma? What is Adhyatman or oneself? What is Karma? What is Adibhuta, Adidaiva? And then what is Adi Yajna? And how, most importantly, the question asked is, how does one know you at the time of death? So, and then here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that Adi Yajna can also mean Lord Vishnu or Indra, but let's kind of keep going ahead, then we'll get more answers. In the text 3, kindly repeat after me. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Samgnita.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the Self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities.
So here, what is Brahman is the indestructible transcendental living entity is called the Brahman. Now, sorry, Lakshmi. But Brahman can also mean Parabrahman or Jiva is also Brahman. The Jivatma is also Brahman, and Paramatma is also called Brahman, but Paramatma is called Parabrahman. Parabrahman means who is transcendental. So there is always that distinction. And his eternal nature, so the Jiva's eternal nature is called Adhyatma. Now, please understand that as we discussed in the second chapter, that we have this material body, and then we are spirit soul, and we are together. Now, in the material world, we perform many activities for the maintenance of the body, but truly, is that our nature? If we are a spirit soul, which means there are something more to what we are doing now. The reason is, based on the bodily needs and the bodily platform, I am doing certain activities for maintenance of my body. Yes or yes? So we go to work, we cook, we do exercise, we do so many things to take care of the body. But is that the nature of self? Because we understand from second chapter, the soul is so distinct from the body. So what is the nature of soul? Soul must have its nature too. Under the influence of modes of material nature, the soul's natural renderings of service to Krishna is distorted and it becomes mine. That natural propensity to serve Krishna gets converted to me. And everything is about me. And in that state of consciousness, the soul loses its natural tendency to serve Krishna. So when we realize that we are not this body but eternal spirit soul, then we need to perform activities in both the directions, both for the maintenance of the body and for the advancement of spirit soul. Both has to go hand in hand. It can't be one way. And later we realize, because the body is temporary, as the soul becomes completely situated in self, there is no question of maintenance of the body. Body is already maintained. Right now also body is maintained. It's not that we are endeavoring to maintain our own body. I'll tell you the thing. Do we have a kind of switch on our body that we turn on and the blood starts flowing in the body all the time? Do we have like a thermostat that sets the temperature in our stomach? How hot should be the fire of digestion? Today, I don't feel like eating, I'll turn it off to 0. Oh, I'm hungry, let me turn it to 120. I can eat 10 times my normal stuff and it gets digested. No, it just goes on naturally. So, even in the conditioned state, the maintenance of the body goes on naturally, but we don't realize it. We think that I am actually doing it. If I don't, because I identify myself with the body, if I don't take care of the body, it will die. If I don't do certain things, the body is anyway going to die. But it's our identity. Where is our identity? If our identity is something different from body, then when we realize I have nothing to do with body, the body keeps going on itself. We have nothing to do with that. So that's the Adhyatman, or the nature of the spirit soul. And please, okay, what is karma? We discussed so many things. What is karma? And how do I know I have karma? Karma is, and how does it manifest? How is karma manifesting? Now, you might say, well, there is actions, there is reactions, and we can get into all that. But I'll tell you a simple formula. How do you know if you still have karma? You have this material body. As long as you have a material body, you have karma. Because this whole material body is manifested by my karma. Whatever activities I have done in the past, that sort of body I am getting now, which means my present body is a manifestation of my past karma. If a person is in the body of a hog, that means in the past life his activities have been suitable to the activities of a hog, so a material nature gave him the body of a hog. And that is his present manifestation. So the body is nothing but a manifestation of karma. And that has been going on since time immemorial. Make sense? All right. So let's continue further. Text 4. Kindly repeat after me. Adibhutam ksharo bhavaha Purusaschadi daivatam Adi yajnohamevatra Dehe dehabritam vara.
O best of the embodied being, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adidhaiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, is called Adiyagna, the Lord of sacrifice.
Thank you. So, Adi Bhutam is the nature that is changing. In Bhagavad Gita, how many chapters are discussed? There are 5. I'll give you the clue. Just take a guess. No right or wrong answers at this point. 5 topics are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. One is soul, Atma. Then Karma. Paramatma. Okay. Yeah. And actually, okay, go ahead. Bhagavan, yes. So the 5 topics are, which is Kala, time, Karma, Prakriti, then Atma and Paramatma. 5 topics are discussed in Bhagavad Gita, out of which 3 are changing. The Kala changes, the Karma changes, and Prakriti changes. The Jiva and the Paramatma, they don't change. So here the Lord says, Adibhuta is this material manifestation. You see, it's continuously changing. Material manifestation keeps on changing. There is no way you can control it. I'll tell an example. If you buy a car today, 60 years later, will it be in the same shape as it is now? Why? Who changed it? What is changing? It just becomes rusted. Over a period of time, it degrades. The material body, you want to keep it pristine. Everybody wants to be youthful all the time. But please understand that 60 years down the line, depending on where you are now, your body will be looking entirely different. Who is the one that's causing that change? Kala in combination with Prakriti. Because I have a material body, gross body, it keeps changing. It has to change, there is no way around it. But the problem comes when you identify with that change. When you think, I am changing, then you will be scared because you don't know what you are changing into or where you are going to. That fear of unknown will always hit you like anything. But when you say, I have nothing to do with this material body, since time immemorial, billions and trillions and quadrillions of births have passed, I have been taking on bodies. Will you be that scared? No. I'll give another example. Everybody goes home and they change their dress. How much scared are you to change a dress? I'm going to change my dress. No. It's a natural thing. You're going to change a dress. Tomorrow you're going to get another dress. But the point is when you identify yourself with the dress, then it comes the problem because you don't want to give it up. And you usually say to the persons who says, this is me, this is my dress. If you take me out of my dress, then I'll die. You will say that person is yes or yes? Yeah, material nature is something like that. But the point is, this is much deeper. This is being that I'm a spirit soul is a much, Krishna is entrenched us into such deep, illusory material nature, it's very hard to overcome. Unless you take to his words in Gita and say, yes, this is what is my true nature. And once you realize the fact that I'm never going to die, and this is just the body that's changing, everything else becomes secondary. All the pains and problems and insurmountable issues that are causing this material world, they become insignificant because that is not who I am. Just like if you like a dress and you go to a party or you go to some place or you are come to a festival in the temple and you are eating prasadam and the prasadam is made of like red substance and that falls on your dress, completely like spoils your dress. Depending on how attached you are to the dress, that much you are sad. But otherwise, it's okay. It's nothing to do with me. So, but to come to that point, it takes time. It's not a theoretical understanding that will help. That's why people say, I read Bhagavad Gita, I know Bhagavad Gita, but still I am miserable. Why? Sir, it's not a theoretical understanding. Practically, to be situated on that, it's a lot more work. Because A, since time immemorial, you have been in this world. B, your senses, your mind, your whole thing is so seeped in this, thinking this everything is what is the truth, that it will take some time to come out. The third thing is the mercy of the Lord. When it comes in, you can be out in a fraction of a second, but when He chooses, again, that is a factor depending on Him, not on you. So the whole factors combine you to give the fact that spiritual path is blissful, but at the same time, it's not instantaneously successful. Don't hope for that. Make sense? Okay. But here is the deal. Arjuna asks Krishna how many questions? 6. And then in 2 verses, how many questions does Krishna answer Arjuna? 5 questions are answered in 2 verses. And the entire of the chapter, 8th chapter, is dwelt on only one question. At the time of death, how can I know you? Because it's a serious question. Like it or not, everybody, has to kind of, face that situation. It's just a matter of time. People, I'm really amused when from really young and youthful people, they point to some older people and say, "Ha, that guy is very old. I'm so young." Just a matter of time. Everybody is going in a circle. If you are going in a merry-go-round, and then you say, "Ha, that person is below me," just wait for 10 seconds. You will be down, he'll be up. The person who is old and who is about to die, he's going to get younger very soon, and you are going to get older. So which is your choice? So it's better be. All right, so let's go and read the next few verses. Text 5. Antakale cha mameva Smaran muktva kalevaram Yah prayati samadbhavam Yati nastyatra samshayah.
And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
So here, Krishna gives the highest perfection. He says, what is the perfection of death? Other words, death is like an exam. So what is the... Slowly. Slow. Thank you. So, death is like an exam. What is the pass or failure of that particular exam? Right. That's the only criteria. It doesn't matter, how much mischief you do, like Abhay and Balram, ringing the bell out of the door as they go. But the fact of the matter is, at the time of death, it is just, how much can you remember Krishna? Everything, all your yoga processes, your jobs, your degrees, your families, everything should point you to only one direction at the time of death, and that is how to remember Krishna. A family member who helps you remember Krishna is a true well-wisher. And if you help somebody remember Krishna, you become their true well-wisher. Because ultimately, at the time of death, nobody can do anything for each other. Your family can't help you, your nation can't help you, your bank balance can't help you, your properties can't help you, nothing can help you. I was actually thinking about one of the members, or one of the CEOs of one of the biggest companies in the world, who recently passed away. And we all use the products of that company, most of us anyways. His worth was $7.56 billion when he died at the age of 56. $7.56 billion. But when death came, he couldn't buy even 1 second extra, even with all the money he had. He was rich, extremely powerful, extremely wealthy, but when time came, time came. There was no bargaining. Wait. I have the next iPhone to release. So, come back after any year time. I'll give you $1 billion in exchange. Take it. The people will be glad to do that, but no. Time came. So my point here is, like it or not, everybody is going to face that situation. It's just a matter of time. And the uncertain part is, nobody even knows when it's going to come. Nobody even has a guarantee. As soon as you take birth, you don't get a guarantee card. Okay, you are going to live for next 75 years, 20 days and whatever. So, the best we can, we should remember Krishna. The best we can, we take our time to understand Krishna. And the time we spend, it's totally worth it. You are so fortunate, all of you, that you are sitting here in front of the deities listening to Bhagavad Gita. Tell me how many people, billions of people living in this world are doing and helping themselves. That's the highest beneficial activity I can do as a soul. And how many people are actually doing it? We are all extremely fortunate in that sense. I am fortunate that I am somehow, by grace of Guru and Gauranga, by grace of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, we are sitting here and reading Bhagavad Gita. You are young people like, Shweka, Niharika, Balram, Avantika, both the sisters, Maha and Lakshmi. It's amazing how young you have taken up. Please don't give it up. Please don't let that urge die in you, and do the best you can. You have your schools and other things to take care of, you have your jobs to take care of, but still, don't let that spirit die. And if you live through this, Krishna will guarantee you 8-7, verse number 8, chapter 8, verse 7, which we'll get to in a minute. Make sense? Yeah. Text 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
Thank you. So again, Krishna gives, if you remember, what happens? If you remember me at the time of death, then you come to me. But if you remember something else at the time of death, and what is the guarantee he gives there? What is the guarantee? Without fail. Whatever you think of at the time of death, that you'll be without fail. And we see in Bhagavatam, we have stories about how Maharaja Bharata, he was thinking of a deer. Somehow it happened, he so thought of a deer. But let me clarify on this. Incidental thinking is different because it might put people into a fear mode. I don't think of Krishna 24/7, then what happens to me? Here when Krishna says, Tada tad bhava bhavi, what is your state of being when you think of something? Because mind is such, if you are attracted to something, the mind is obsessed over it. The mind thinks about it day and night. Any which angle you think, the mind is always coming back to that point. If a man is to make money, or if a woman is to make money in this world, everywhere you go, the only thought is how to make money. If you go to a restaurant, you might not even properly eat. The first question, how much money is it restaurant making? That's the way of thinking. The point I'm trying to make is, Krishna here is, what he's saying is, what your mind is absorbed in, that you will be at the time of death. Not incidental thinking. Because we get so many thoughts, right? We think of so many things. It's not just obsessed in one way, but whatever is your nature, that you will be without fail. Maharaj Bharata, when he went to forest to perform austerities, he was not just like sometimes thinking of deer. His whole mind was absorbed in thoughts of deer. To the point, Shall I tell the story a little bit? It's mentioned in the purport anyways, so it's not like I'm digressing way off the track. Makes sense. Okay. So Maharaj Bharat was an extremely powerful king. He didn't have to worry about elections and campaigns and donations and funds and poll ratings and poll numbers, whatever you want to call it. He was completely wealthy, youthful. He had wife, he had family, he had children. But when time came, he gave up everything and he went to forest. And in the forest, his meditation was serious, was intense, with one aim, to achieve God. And he would take bath 3 times a day. He was very strict in his regulative principles. One day he went to take bath in the river. And as he was taking bath, a pregnant deer came to drink water. Now that pregnant deer came and it was drinking water. Suddenly there was a sound of roar of lion, very, very loud. And the deer jolted and got scared of its life, and it jumped across the water. Because of that shock, the baby deer fell from the mother deer into the water where Maharaj Bharat was right there doing his bathing. And Maharaj Bharat, he got shocked that deer was there, it was falling into water and it would die. So immediately he took hold of that deer and pulled it ashore. But the mother deer, having lost her baby in the water, jumped across the river with no way of kind of returning back or not knowing what happened in the meanwhile. She ran into a cave and she died because of that shock. Now Maharaj Bharat had left with a baby deer in his hands. He didn't know what to do. So he said, okay, I'm going to take this real cute baby deer and raise it. Raising was good. But the problem was, when he was raising the deer, he was slowly forgetting his spiritual practices. Not only forgetting, but neglecting. To the point, and he would use this argument that deer has come and taken shelter of me, and it would be inhuman to neglect it, and it might be killed by another animal, so I'm the only caretaker and guardian of this deer. And then slowly he started forgetting. He started neglecting. So every day he would be doing his meditation, he would see where the deer is gone. Or was it eating? Has anybody been, did anybody kill and eat my deer? So slowly on and on, it became to the point that deer was only in his thoughts, nothing else. At the time of death, if the deer would go somewhere off into the forest, he would be lamenting. Oh, my dear, where did you go? I'm so unfortunate that I missed you. It was very, very deep attachment. And that is called bhava bhavita, not just incidental thinking. So incidental thinking doesn't, that's what you become at the time of death. It's your whole absorption, that's not what you become at the time of death. So with this absorption in a deer, no points for guessing which birth did Maharaj take in the next life. A deer. Because his mind was completely absorbed. And even at the time of death, he was thinking, where is my deer? I didn't see my deer. It's been so long. Oh, please come back, deer. And he quit his body. And then in the next life, he became a deer. But in the next life, by grace of God, he remembered everything that had happened. In the deer's body, he realized, what did I do? I gave up a beautiful wife, wonderful children, huge, unrivaled kingdom to go into the forest and became what? Attached to a deer, and now here I am. Oh my God, what did I do? And then in that deer's body, he was extremely careful not again to associate with other deer. And somehow he ate just dried leaves, stayed around the saints' ashrams, not going anywhere. And then when the time came, he had to quit his body, and then in the next life, he became self-realized soul called Jada Bharat. And that is the story that is kind of goes on in Srimad Bhagavatam. The other story is that story of King Puranjana. That's also the same thing. We won't go into the story because of lack of time. But the point here is, whatever you think of at the time of death, the short story of Puranjana is he was thinking of his wife. He's completely absorbed in thinking of his wife. How will she maintain herself? And on. And in the next life, she became a woman. He became a woman. So that's another thing. Please, this family life, when one is very strongly rooted to the concept that I am man or woman, don't even place too much emphasis on that designations, because these keep changing. Who knows? You are a woman in the last life, now you become a man. If you think too much of women, you'll become a woman in the next life, and on it goes on. So material life is a very bewildering place. Trust me on that one. Extremely. All right. Text 7. So this is an important text. Let's meditate on it and read. Kindly repeat after me, 372. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu Mam anusmara yudhyacha Mayar mano buddhir Mame vaishyasya samshaya.
Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
Thank you. So I'll quickly read the purport. It's a beautiful short purport. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. Please raise the hands, those who are engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should not give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet Krishna Loka without a doubt. So the point here is that it is possible. It is possible. It seems a little tough. I mean, if I am doing something at work, for example, if I am taking test, or I'm at office or something like that, if the boss is asking me a question, or if your teacher is asking you a question, you just neglect them and they're always, because Krishna says, think of me. No, it can happen both the ways. And it is possible, it is going to take practice. Because always if you think of Krishna, then Krishna says at the time of death you will come to me. So having that dual track will eventually come about. One cannot artificially try to achieve that. It will be a little tough. It will naturally come about. Our mind, heart and soul will be so absorbed in Krishna that you will do your activities, but you won't give much thought to it. The prime example is the gopis of Vrindavan. Were they saints living in the forest doing nothing? Did they have kids? Did they have bullocks and cows to take care of? Did they have household affairs to take care of? Did they have in-laws and other family members? Yeah, they were doing all these. They were there at the same time. They are the most unalloyed devotees of Krishna. How did they do that? That their absorption in Krishna was so absolute that Krishna was bound to them. In fact, he said, I can't go anywhere leaving you devotees. And he doesn't leave Vrindavan, though apparently he left Vrindavan. So that is possible very much, but it will take practice. And Srila Prabhupada gives the easiest way to achieve that is by? Thank you. Good. So this is something that is practical, possible. It's going to take a while. Text 8. We'll take questions a little later today. So let's just keep going. Unless somebody has like a burning question you need to ask, then you can stop me. Text 8. Abhyasa yoga yuktena cetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partanu chintayan.
He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, O Partha, is sure to reach me.
So here Krishna says, he who meditates me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the next verse, actually Krishna gives how. What do you mean meditate on Supreme Personality of Godhead? For example, if you need to think of a person, okay, probably he is something. You think of that person as like he's Mr. something. You just know the name, you know that he's a person. But beyond that, what? How much more can you think of that person? And Krishna says, remember me always. So he says more about how you can think of me. Text 9. Kavim Puranam Anushashitaram Anor Aniyam Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataramachintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastad.
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun and he is transcendental beyond this material nature.
So here, if you analyze this particular verse, the Lord is mentioned in 10 different forms. Kavim, Puranam, each word it can take, you can see how God is. Kavim means one who knows everything. Puranam means the oldest person. So it goes on, and we can meditate on that. But here, please understand, up till the 13th verse, the meditation on the Supreme Lord is the continuation from the 6th chapter. In the 6th chapter, we read the Dhyana Yoga, wherein one meditates on the super soul. Here it is, the same explanation is more expanded. And how do you further intensify and concentrate your attention on the super soul? Shweka and Balram, if you want to sit in the front, you can sit here if you find, unless you really want to sit in the back. Your call. You can come here. It's your choice. But here it is mentioned about how the aspects of the Lord are kind of coming out. As a super soul, what do you meditate on? If you meditate on super soul. Kavim Puranam Anushashitaram. So this is all mentioned right here. Text 10. Prayana kale manasachalena Bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva Bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya samyak Satam param purusham upaiti divyam.
One who at the time of death fixes his mind here between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an understanding, undeviating mind, engage himself in remembering Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain the Supreme Personal Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji. So here in the 6th chapter, we read about Dhyana Yoga, wherein we go to a place which is neither too high nor too low, and you have to sit on a kusha grass, and then you have to meditate on the eyebrow and on between the tip of the nose. But the point is, what is the object? And more importantly, what is the end result of such meditation? The Lord mentions here that at the time of death, if you are able to raise your life air, the chakras as they call it, it's very commonly used and things, it's pretty, fancy and exotic term. But essentially what it means is to raise the life airs from 6 organs, from abdomen to chest, it goes on till here and then up till the top. You have to raise the life air through yoga, and then when you achieve perfection, through the Brahmarandra on the top of your head, you can transfer your soul into different places. And that's the goal of that Sat Chakra Yoga. The chakras are nothing fancy. The Kundalini Yoga and all that, they use this word chakras, and the point is they are not some material manipulation to have better health, better wealth, no, it's nothing to do with that. So, this particular sequences are mentioned for those who are strictly fixed on dhyana, but who want to achieve the super soul. There is bhakti involved, but there is jnana and bhakti, both are mixed. So that is why these are called jnana mishra bhaktas, which means that there is mishra means mixed, and jnana means knowledge, and bhakta means a devotee. I am a devotee, but my devotion is mixed a lot with jnana. And the perfection of such mixing bhakti with jnana is this, that you are still on that path, but you will achieve the super soul. Text 11. Yadaksharam veda vido vadanti Vishanti yad yatayo vitaragaha Yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Balaram, you got your chance to read? No, okay. Once they're done, you can get it. No, good. Continue with Sweka.
Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation.
So the Dhyana Yoga, the salvation through Dhyana Yoga is attained by the path that is mentioned by Krishna. And he gives the hard process first, and then he gives the easy process later. So let's do two verses. Text 12. Sarvadvarani samyamya mano hridi nirudhyacha murdhni adhyatmana pranam astito yogadharanam.
The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga.
So here we continue with the same thing. When one achieves perfection, then one can raise the life air. Text 13. Om ityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran yaha prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim.
After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets.
So here, because we had this question few weeks ago, as to what is the ultimate destination of those who are in the Dhyana Yoga, right? Those who are meditating on the super soul. What is their destination? And their destination is the Vaikuntha planets, but where they cannot go beyond that. They can go up till the Vaikuntha planets, and they can establish either as a servant or as a neutral relationship with Krishna on meditation. So, till this point, we have the yogis who want to achieve super soul, who want to go beyond. But from 814 on, how the devotees attain the devotional service, that's mentioned here. So, any questions, any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I just wanted to say that when the sage who was really attached to the deer, when he, his argument, like, I can't just neglect the deer, well, something to counter that would be like, he neglected his whole family and his kids, and he came to the forest. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that.
So, your question is that, why did he do the first thing?
It wasn't a question, it was like a counter argument to what he said. Like he said...
but actually the problem was that his own mind was like that. It's nothing to do with neglecting his family, but when the mind gets attached to some material object and one doesn't control it, then that's what happens. But anyway, good point though. Questions? More questions? Okay. Text 14. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yogina.
For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O son of Pritha, because of this constant engagement in devotional service.
Thank you. So, this here, Krishna says, am I difficult to obtain or easy to obtain? In this particular verse. But what is the process for one who is for whom Krishna is easy to obtain? Right. And then the qualification for that is without deviation. Ananya, there is no other thought. Ananya chetasa satatam. So Krishna says, I am so easy to attain. So here in Bhagavad Gita, because one of the questions the devotees ask is, you talk of pure bhakti and pure devotional service, where is it written in Gita? I mean, Gita has so many processes. This is the first place, this is also one of the places where Krishna mentions about pure devotional service. Now, here it's mentioned pure devotional service. In the 9th chapter, it's discussed more extensively. Krishna is just focus on me, just become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me, you'll come to me without fail. So, that is another reason why bhakti is the most easiest way to achieve Krishna, because Krishna himself says, just think of me without deviation, you will come to me. It's much more easier than doing all these things. And in this age of Kali Yuga, it's practically impossible to do all those other things. We neither are trained for that, we neither have the environment suitable for that. There is nothing in place. Just imagine if a normal person who goes to college and other places has to go to forest in 22 years to meditate. What are you going to meditate? You have no clue of how to do it. You don't even know basic breathing exercises, how to even control your breath, leave alone doing other things. So the best process is to perform devotional service. It's easy, it's effective, and it's very suitable for this age. So that's why the emphasis there on bhakti. And on one sense it's easy, but on another sense it's not that easy too. As we read in the Nectar of Devotion, pure devotional service or prema bhakti it's not that easy. It's extremely rare. But then, we have this whole questions. On one hand, you say it's easy, Krishna is easy to obtain through devotional service. On the other hand, you are saying it's rare and, it seems difficult. How do you reconcile this contradiction? Please come 4th semester, Nectar of Devotion. We'll discuss. But the point here is this. The bhakti is so pure that even by doing a little bit of it, one can immediately feel relief from material miseries, and more importantly, you will gradually notice that the material attractions and the material things don't hold that much value as they used to before you are in devotional service. I mean, they are there, but you are not attracted to it. So that advancement that happens through bhakti, and that happens very fast. The other processes takes a long time because your mind is still attracted. You are pulling the mind back. The mind says, no, let's do that now. I said, no, come back. So that constant tug of war that's going on in other processes, because you think of Krishna and his lotus feet and how beautiful he is, how wonderful his qualities are, your mind is naturally getting attracted. And automatically the things lower, they are like, not that important. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So when somebody leaves, when somebody like dies, even if they didn't practice devotional service in that life, can they remember Krishna if they have like maybe in their previous life they did something like kind of like Gajendra, like he didn't do any devotional service but he remembered? Could that also happen?
Gajendra did remember Krishna. That's a side point. But the point is that whatever little you do of remembering Krishna, you might have not done much. Maybe for a very brief time in your life you remembered Krishna, but that will remain, and that will come back in the next life. It may not come back immediately. It may not come back instantaneously, because the next life you take, you may pass some time in that life, and then one day it will hit you. One day it will come, oh yeah, we used to do this, or somehow I vaguely remember this. This seems so natural to me. That whole thing will come back, and then you will take up, oh, okay, yeah, I've been just wasting time. So it will come back. And there are instances in Bhagavatam. There are many instances in Bhagavatam where devotees were completely fixed up in God, and due to some reason or other, they forgot, and they were like doing their own thing and completely away from devotion. And one day it hit them. What am I doing? I was so blissful doing that. This is the beauty. That Krishna consciousness is so wonderful. Just a taste of it once, that will be lasting in your consciousness. And when time comes, when either because you are doing bad or you are doing unsuccessful materially, or something happens, it will trigger that. Oh yes, that was so nice. Why am I wasting time doing this? So that trigger will come back. Make sense? Yeah. All right. 15. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam asashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha.
After attaining me, the great soul who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection.
Thank you. So Krishna, he gives, because he says they achieve me. First he says that the yogis who control their senses, who utter Omkar, who are completely celibate and who have achieved perfection, they will achieve me. And those who are completely devoted to me, Ananya, they also attain me. Then after saying, okay, someone might say, okay, what happens if I attain you? Krishna says, if you attain me, then you don't have to come back again to this material world. Really? I've been in this material for quite a while, it seems okay. He says, he gives the distinction right now. It is not okay. It's not as nice as you think. And that's what the Lord tries to explain in the next few verses, saying that what it means to actually come back to me. Because once you come back, once you go to Krishna, will you come back? No, only once. That's about it. There may be in an extreme case, there may be a fall down of some sorts. But it's just temporary. So, text 16, he talks about the material world first. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avritinarjuna mamupetyatu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate.
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Thank you. Text 17. Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janaha.
By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
So, we'll just read a little bit more and then I'll stop. Text 18. Avyaktad vyaktaya sarva prabhavantyah ratriagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta samjnake.
At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Text 19. Bhuta grama sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratragame vasha partha prabhavatyah ragame.
Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
So here in these 4 verses, Krishna talks about the material nature. Is material nature permanent, never changing? No. So here he says this material nature is created and destroyed again and again. And in this specific verses, Krishna is talking about partial devastation. Now, Brahma has how many years to live? 100 years. And in each year of Brahma, there are 365 days. And each day of Brahma has 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. So in the 12 hours of day, we are in which yuga? So before Kali Yuga? Dwapar Yuga. Before Dwapar? Before that? So one cycle of 4 yugas, namely Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, is called a Divya Yuga. It's called one Divya Yuga. And in one day of Brahma, we have 1014 Divya Yugas coming and going just in one day of Brahma. So one day of Brahma is equivalent to 43,200,000 years of this earth cycle. Just 12 hours of Brahma. Just 12 hours of Brahma is 43 million years in this world. And Brahma right now we are in the noon of Brahma's day. We have passed half of Brahma's day in this particular day of Brahma. And at the night, when the night falls, everything, there is complete devastation. There is partial devastation. What do you mean by partial devastation is that there will be, Anantadev will start fire from the bottom of this universe. And the fire will consume everything. There will be rains for hundreds of years. And there will be strong winds gusting to the point that there is no life existing on this world. Everything is just lying around, nothing is happening. It's just like office. If you go to an office at night, is there any activity going on? Is there any phone calls and people running? Nothing. It's just like gone. Everybody is gone. So similarly, when there is partial devastation at the end of Brahma's night, there is nothing. Everything is wound up into body of Vishnu. Brahma sleeps, and then when he wakes up next day, then he has to recreate everything as it was. And then the whole life has to start all over again. Every day of Brahma, this thing starts. And Brahma lives for such 100 years. So what's the lifespan of Brahma? Is 400, and it's mentioned here, 311 trillion years. If you can see here in the purport on page 383.
Yeah, it says that these 100 years by Earth's calculation total to 311 trillion and 40 billion Earth years.
So one lifetime of Brahma is 311 trillion 40 billion years in this world. Does anybody want to have Brahma's life? Why not? Oh, you don't want it? Okay. Interesting. All right. But here is the deal. So in the time calculation, I'll come to your question. Lakshmi, 1 minute. So Brahma's life is 311 trillion years, but when it compared to the Supreme Lord, how much is that time? One breath. 311 trillion years have passed. So, yes, you had questions. Let's take questions. Starting with, you had a question and then Balram.
So, after 100 years of the Brahma, what happens to the Brahma? Like, there's new Brahma, so what happens to the old one?
So, the Brahma, he gets liberation after 100 years. So any jiva can become Brahma, and there are qualifications on how to become Brahma. And once you become Brahma, you enjoy that, and at the end of that, you will get liberation.
I think I read this somewhere, but wasn't it like you have to do 100 horse sacrifices to become like Indra, or?
Right. So to become Brahma, one has to perform 100 lifetimes with no faults. You have to do your duty perfectly. Then you can become Brahma. And once you become Brahma, then you become, you go to Brahma Loka. It's just a post. The United States President, is that a person or a post? It's a post. Person gets elected to that post. He stays in that post for 4 or 8 years as his karma is, and then he's out. That's pretty much that. Brahma is just a post, and that post gets created. It's mentioned that, okay, what happens if there is no person who is eligible to become Brahma? In that life, a creation needs to be created, but there is no Brahma available. What is going to happen? Any guesses? Vishnu himself becomes Brahma and does that job. Okay, so does that answer your question? All right, yes, Balram.
So Brahma's 100 years is our whatever years. So like for his 100 years, like his seconds are like, is it like our seconds, or is it like many years? Like his seconds are really slow for him.
Yeah, for him it is slow. I'll tell an example to understand. How many years does a dog live? Approximately 14, 15 years, right? That's about it. So basically, if a human being lives for 85 years, assume, and the dog lives for 15 years, 85 by 15 is how much? 85 divided by 15 is 7. Am I right? 5 point something. So, thank you. 15, 5 point something. So, 1 minute or 5 minutes of dog is 1 minute of my time. Right? Because the dog lives for 15 years, I live for 85 years, which means the life and death, if you just compare, so 5 minutes of dog is my 1 minute. right? So my 12 hours is 43 million years for Brahma. Or Brahma's 12 hours. Yeah, so you get the math, right? Yes. Does that answer your question? Yeah, it's just relative. An ant lives only for, I think, 2 or 3 days, not more than. Ant lives just for 2 or 3 days and he dies after that. So my time versus the ant's time, my time seems to be infinitely long compared to ant. So in my life, I'll see probably 50 or 60 or I don't know how many generations of ants will come and go in my one life, right? Because ants live for only that much time. So by the grace of God, the time is allotted to every jiva according to where they are born. In the higher planetary systems, it's more. Oh, okay, here is another quiz question. If Brahma's one day is whatever 43 million years of our time, how much is the day of Indra? Yes?
6 months.
Awesome, good job. Yeah, 6 months. 6 months. So our 6 months is 1 day for Indra. We pass 6 months here, it's just 1 day for Indra. So in 1 day of Brahma, 14 Indras come and go. 14 Manus come and go. So it's a whole, the time scale, if you see, how do you even measure time or what is time, itself is a mind-boggling thing. Because time seems to be so different for different people. Yes, Balram.
How many years, like say 1 year for us is how many years in the hellish planets?
I don't know about hellish planets, I have to check it. Yeah. That's a good question though. It's a very good question, I like it. I have to go check it up. I read 5th canto, but there is no mention of time on the hellish planets. So pretty nice question. Let me look it up. Yeah, it's a good question. Because if it goes faster down there, so yeah. Shalabahu Prabhu, you had a question.
Prabhuji, I was wondering, you said that this right now this is around noon for Brahma's day. While we are in the Kali Yuga, what is the base? You said that. Based upon what?
So, how many Manus are there in 1 day of Brahma? 14 Manus. We are in the 7th Manu. So in that sense, we said, okay, the 6 Manus have come and gone in this day of Brahma, and then this is the 7th Manu, and even in the 7th Manu also, we are somewhere in there, around the vicinity. Given that Brahma's day is 43 million years, it's like, to adjust exactly, it's very difficult. Which exact, hour or second of Brahma. So 1 second of Brahma in that day is 43 million years divided by 3,600.
Based upon the Manu.
Yeah, so our 1 second is some few million years for Brahma. Not few billion years, a few 100,000 years. Still it's a long time. 1 second of ours is like few 100,000 years for Brahma. Does it answer your question, Balram? Okay. Shalababu Prabhu, does it answer? Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, it is mentioned that at the end of a Kali Yuga there is going to be annihilation. So how that matches with the end of the lifespan or end of the day of Brahma and the annihilation at the end of Kali Yuga?
Your question is annihilation at the end of Kali Yuga? As far as I remember, there is no annihilation at the end of Kali Yuga. There is sometimes annihilation when one Manu ends and another Manu takes over. Usually there is no annihilation. There will be some sort of changes. The earth will change because the demigods have the power to change. For example, Indra, we hear he can take his thunderbolts and just take one thunderbolt and swipe it, and whole mountain is destroyed. Like he has that power to destroy mountains. Or if some personality, the Lord comes and he presses the earth, mountains come out. So the earth might change its features after yugas, but there is no question of devastation at the end of Kali Yuga. Because there is sometimes devastation at the end of Manu, definite devastation at the end of Brahma's day, End of Brahma's life, total devastation. But maybe there is some place it is written, I am not sure also. But if you could tell me the reference. So my understanding is there is no devastation at the end of Kali Yuga. Kalki comes, he cleans out the whole earth, kills off all the demoniac people, and then again the fresh Brahma kind of comes about and helps to restart the population here. Because the population is pretty much wiped out at that point of time.
So the Satya Yuga starts again?
Satya Yuga starts again. And at that time the earth gets regenerated. Because the Lord comes as Kalki, he completely comes and makes sure that the earth is full, replete, and everything becomes clean again. Just like, if you know how, your daughter is there, she might not feel bad, right? Okay. The Niharika, she kind of goes and messes her room, and then you have to go and clean, it becomes clean again, right? So it's kind of thing. The Kali Yuga kind of, gets so ugly as it goes by, to the point that everything becomes nauseating. The earth loses everything. The earth loses its potency. There is no, right now only we are saying no rains, unseasonal global climatic changes. All these things are like anomalies of this Kali Yuga. And when Krishna comes, he'll reset the whole thing and then he'll go as Kalki. And then it will start again. There will be definitely some sort of annihilation for sure. But whether it will be a devastation, whole planets are destroyed, I don't think that's going to happen.
So Prabhuji, this devastation by the end of Brahma's day, does it applicable only for our universe or the other universes also?
Every universe. But the only thing is, that every universe doesn't end at the same time. Some universes overlap. So it can be that, but the end of Brahma's night, that particular universe is devastated. So when Lord Vishnu lies down in the ocean, causal ocean, and he breathes out, he exhales, unlimited number of universes, they come out from his body. And all the universes, he is lying in that ocean, and when the universes come, they are floating on the top of that ocean like footballs on the ocean, half sunk, half on the top of ocean they are floating. And each of the ocean is like a football, which is covered with earth, water, fire, ether. It's like a huge thing. It's like our universe is just like a big football. And within that football are planetary systems, like hellish planetary systems, earth planetary systems, heavenly planetary systems. Each universe has its own Brahma. Each universe has its own super soul, Karanadakshayi Vishnu. So this is the structure of one universe. And so there is devastation, partial devastation happens within that universe. I mean, there will be material elements, but everything is suspended. But then Brahma awakes, and then he has to start the whole process of creation again. Make sense? Does that answer? We can discuss more. If need be, we can have another class, but I want to answer all the questions before we go. Yes?
So after this Yuga ends, the Satya Yuga will start, and then will the people in the Satya Yuga be like 10 feet tall? Because what will be their height? Because when it started they were 10 feet, and then each yuga they got shorter, so then when it restarts, will they start back at 10 feet, or how will that?
I think so. I haven't read anywhere. But at least they'll be pure. They'll be completely pure. And the material nature, again, I'm sure there won't be any iPads to start with. And all the internet and everything will be gone. But the point here is, the population, it doesn't happen instantaneously. One night, one fine morning, we are here, and then Kalki comes, and then in next few seconds, everybody is gone. The population will slowly dwindle. Okay, Kali Yuga, how much is the number of years in Kali Yuga? How many? Awesome. Out of which, how many years did we complete? How many are remaining? 427,000 years. More, give and take few years. Just imagine 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, the situation is this. What should be the situation as Kali Yuga progresses? Bhagavatam gives, and it's not nice, not pleasant at all. Bhagavatam gives in the 12th canto what happens as Kali Yuga progresses. We are having temples, but as Kali Yuga progresses, there will be no temple, no discussion of God. People will become completely atheistic. There will be famines. People will be suffering from shortage of food. It's a very, very nasty situation as it goes on. And then population will slowly dwindle, and whoever are the demoniac people who are existing at that time, Kalki comes and kills them, cleans it out, and then again the whole thing will start. Brahma will take care of it. So, or because they are already in place. Indra, all the demigods who need to control, they are already in place. It's that Lord comes, cleans out, and then we start all over again. Yeah, better to get out as soon as we can. Not a nice place. Now, as Vaishesh Prabhu says, no loitering. Not a nice place to loiter. All right. Can we keep continuing? Or more questions? We have 10, 12 minutes to go, so let's continue. After talking about material nature, Krishna talks about spiritual nature. Let's turn this off. It's persistently trying to. There we go. Okay. Please, can you turn off? Be quiet. Thank you much. Sorry. Okay. Text 20. Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaha sa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyastu na vinashyati.
Yes, there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and it is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is.
So after Krishna giving the nature of this material world, which is constantly changing and which is being created and destroyed, he gives another nature. This says my own spiritual nature that is always, never subject to destruction. Text 21. Avyakto kshara ityuktas tam ahu paramam gatim yam prapyana nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode.
Thank you, Mataji. Text 22. Purusha sapara partha bhaktya labhyastvananyaya yashantah stani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him.
So this is, even to achieve super soul, one needs to have some devotion, otherwise it's impossible. And here, this is another nature which we are going to discuss. Krishna is saying that you come to my abode, everything will be nice. I go to his abode and he is there in this material world. What should I go doing there? It is like your friend says, come to my home, but he is gone somewhere else. What's the point in going? But Krishna is present in his abode and at the same time present here. That's the beauty of Krishna. Krishna is there, situated, at the same time he is expanded himself. So he is present everywhere and everything is within him. There is nothing beyond him. So that's the beauty. Text 23. Yatra kale tvanavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginaha prayatayanti tam kalam vakshami bharatarshava.
O
best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back.
Thank you. Text 24. Agnir Jyotiraha Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gacchanti Brahma Brahma Vido Janaha.
Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain the Supreme by passing away from world during the influence of the fiery god, in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north.
Text 25. Dhumo Ratristata Krishnaha Shanmasha Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate.
The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night of fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6th month when the sun passes to the south, reach the moon planet, but again comes back.
Thank you. Text 26. Shukla Krishne Gati Hyete Jagata Shashvate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Vrittim Ananya Vartate Punaha.
According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns.
Text 27. Naite stri partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna.
Although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion.
So, in the earlier verses, Krishna talked about passing away by raising the chakras from one body and then leaving it. Here is the deal with that problem, or there is a problem with that. It depends on when you leave, not only how you leave, which is raising your body, but when you leave. If you leave during Uttarayana, then you won't come back. If you leave during Dakshinayana, you will come back. So there is that small risk. So Krishna says, but those who are devotees, they are not bewildered. Because if we consider time in our passing away, then Krishna's words that if you think of me at the time of death, it'll be wrong. Because I have to think of Krishna only during Uttarayana. With Dakshinayana, I think of Krishna, it's useless. Krishna says, no. He doesn't specify time. Whatever you think of, and whenever you die, you'll come to me. Because you're thinking of me, your absorption in me. So Krishna in that way transcends these time limitations. Therefore he says, but the devotees, it doesn't matter. And that's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. It's a beautiful purport. That for us, that's another less risk. You see, as we read Bhagavad Gita, we see how many benefits of bhakti is coming out and how many limitations are being taken away. Death is a very important thing. And if you really worry about time in the death, that is even serious. In this modern age, you hardly know when you are going to die. At least in the previous ages you had. Or it should be like Bhishma. You should have gotten a boon from your father. You can choose your time of death. And that's what Bhishma did. He was lying in the battlefield of Kurukshetra for so many days, enduring the pain. And when Lord Krishna appeared before him, he offered profuse prayers to the Lord. He was seeing the Lord, and it was Uttarayan, and he left his body. Uttarayan at that point is really superfluous, it's not even needed. When Krishna is present, then everything gets adjusted automatically. But just see the advantages of bhakti. So trust me, you are pretty much on the right path. Yeah, don't worry about other paths, we are good. And that's not my words, please don't take my words, this is Krishna's words. Don't for a second believe me, just believe Krishna. Text 28. Kindly repeat after me. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam.
A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all this, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode.
Thank you. Because this verse and the purport, let's read it. Read it, if possible, again. We don't have the time. At least read it once. And please give special attention. One might never know what might happen with this. Might come in exam. Purport. This verse is the summation of 7th and 8th chapters which particularly deal with Krishna consciousness and devotional service. How many whole chapters are summarized in one verse? 2 chapters. Excellent. One has to study the Vedas under the guidance of the spiritual master and undergo many austerities and penances while living under his care. A brahmachari has to live in the home of the spiritual master just like a servant, and he must beg alms from door to door and bring them to the spiritual master. He takes food only under the master's orders, and if the master neglects to call the student for that day, the student fasts. These are some of the Vedic principles for observing brahmacharya. After the student studies the Vedas under the master for some time, at least from age 5 to 20, he becomes a man of perfect character. Study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. After this training, the brahmachari is allowed to enter into the household life and marry. When he is a householder, he has to perform many sacrifices so that he may achieve the further enlightenment. So here, Vedeshu is one word, and Srila Prabhupada has explained that one word in 2 paragraphs. He says, when you say Vedeshu, what does it mean? It means studying the Vedas. But how do you study the Vedas? Under the guidance of a spiritual master. And all that is mentioned. And then the next is Yajneshu. The second word is Yajneshu in that particular verse. And that is Srila Prabhupada explaining now. When he is a householder, he has to perform many sacrifices so that he may achieve further enlightenment. He must also give charity according to the country, time, and candidate, discriminating among charity in goodness, in passion, and in ignorance, as described in Bhagavad Gita, and that is Daneshu. Daneshu is charity. Then after retiring from the household life, upon accepting the order of Vanaprastha, he undergoes severe penances, living in the forest, dressing with bark tree, not shaving, etc. This is tapasya. By carrying out the orders of brahmacharya, householder life, vanaprastha, and finally sannyas, one becomes elevated to the perfectional stage of life. Some are then elevated to heavenly kingdoms, where they become even more advanced, and then they are liberated in spiritual sky, either in the impersonal Brahma Jyoti or in the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. This path is outlined by the Vedic literatures. So that seems to be like a short route, right? It's not a big route. Study Vedas for 15 years, then marry, perform all austerities, and then go to forest. And after do that for quite few lifetimes, then you might go back. Right? That is one way of doing stuff. Let's see the second way. 393, second paragraph. The beauty of Krishna consciousness, however, is that by one stroke, by engaging in devotional service, one can surpass all the rituals of the different orders of life. The word idam viditva indicate that one should understand the instructions given by Sri Krishna in this chapter and the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One should try to understand these chapters not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in association with the devotees. Chapters 7 through 12 are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. I'll repeat that again. Chapters 7 through 12 are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 and the last 6 chapters are like the coverings for the middle 6 chapters, which are especially protected by the Lord. If one is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita, especially these middle 6 chapters, in association of devotees, then his life at once becomes glorified beyond all penances, sacrifices, charities, speculations, etc. For one can achieve all the results of these activities simply by Krishna consciousness. This, my dear fellow students and devotees, is the reason why Mahaprabhu said anybody can take up to bhakti and achieve all the results. Here the Lord says, you perform bhakti, you will get the results of everything that's been done. Vedas, reading of Vedas, all those are inclusive in bhakti. So that is the reason why bhakti can be practiced by anybody with no prerequisites whatsoever. Other forms of yoga, they need prerequisites. They need training. You can't just do it. It's impossible. Therefore, Mahaprabhu insisted that by performing devotion to Krishna, you not only get liberation, but get prema in the highest order. So that's the reason it's Krishna himself is saying that it's not that don't think that by doing bhakti I am missing out. No, you are not going to miss out anything. All the results that are performed by devotional service, by performing devotional service, all the results which are coming from other paths are automatically included. Just let's complete this purport and we can take more questions. 393 page, last paragraph. One who has a little faith in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of the 4th chapter, it is clearly stated that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees. No one else can perfectly understand the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna, not from mental speculators. This is a sign of faith. When one searches for a devotee and fortunately gets a devotee's association, one actually begins to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. By advancement in association of the devotee, one is placed in devotional service. And this service dispels all one's misgivings about Krishna or God, and Krishna's activities, form, pastimes, name, and other features. After these misgivings have been perfectly cleaned away, one becomes fixed in one's study. Then one relishes the study of Bhagavad Gita, and one attains the state of feeling always Krishna conscious. In the advanced stage, one falls completely in love with Krishna. This is the highest perfectional stage of life. This highest perfectional stage of life enables the devotee to be transferred to Krishna's abode in spiritual sky, Golok Vrindavan, where the devotee becomes eternally happy. Interested? Enticing enough? I like it. It's a pretty good proposition. It makes sense. What do you think? Yeah. So, the 8th chapter, it's slowly the pure devotion begins, and in the 9th chapter, it's full-blown pure devotional service. So we'll do that 9th chapter, and then we are done for this semester. We'll have our exam as scheduled on March 15th, 2015. We are not going to change that date. I have taken a lot of criticism in the past for changing the date, so please don't come and ask me for changing the date. My humble request is, please keep 15th of March free and work around the schedule, because the people were almost ready to beat me up, and unfortunately the shops had run out of protective gear, so my only protective gear were my 2 legs and I had to run. Just kidding. No. I'm just being dramatic. So, but I did get criticism saying that you changed the date, and I had I had planned my whole life around that date. Now you changed it, everything kind of got topsy-turvy. And that's a fair argument to make, which, people said, I actually postponed my trip to India because thinking that, serious, they said this Sunday was the Bhakti Shastri exam, next Sunday they had booked their tickets to India. They said, because you said that date, I made my tickets to India on that day. Now you postpone it, I'll be in India when you give the exam. What the Krishna, what the Radha, whatever you want to fill in there. But that's what happened. So please, make 15th I won't change the date. No requests. Please don't even ask me. And that way you can help me. Unless it's, there is no major festival. I looked at the calendar, made sure there is no major festival. I made sure that there is nothing on that date. There is no serious, so. Is that fair enough? Yeah. Thank you for being so merciful on me. I appreciate it. More questions, more comments. We have, yeah. Balaram, you have any questions? I'm happy to see you. Yeah. What time is it? I'll send out the date, Mataji. Mostly it will be in the morning. It's a Sunday. Yes? Yes or yes? Okay, good. Because usually previously we used to have it on, I used to say on a weekend, so that I had the flexibility of doing it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Before we moved it in the temple, sometimes we had to book a hall because that wouldn't be enough. The temple was small and people would come and go. Even people come and go in this temple, but the devotees somehow they are absorbed in exams, so it would kind of work out. Usually it will be in the morning. It's Sunday feast will be in the afternoon. Morning we start around 10. We are done by 1. But if you want, I can move the exam, that you're done with the exam and attend the Sunday feast lecture. But it will be too intense anyways, 3 hours you're in the exam, so you might want to have a break. So usually we have it in the morning around 10 o'clock, 10 to 1. It will take 2 hours, not more than that. But if the devotees want a little more time, they can. Regarding the format of exams, there will be essay questions. So please read. Essay questions will be generic, will test your understanding. There will be verses for memorization. I'll come to you. There will be verses for memorization, true or false, fill in the blanks, multiple choices. We have the homework for 30 marks. So please submit your homeworks, and the exam will be for 70 marks. So you will be total of 100 marks. And again, I'll just reiterate, I am not testing your memory power. I don't need to, I don't test to see how much you remember, which verse is what. I want to know your basic understanding. If somebody asks you, you are all going to be preachers, you are all going to be devotees. In fact, if you are not going to preach to anybody, you are going to preach to your own mind. And your mind is going to be your enemy, saying, why are you doing this? And then you have to preach to your own mind, which is the toughest kind of preaching. So, your understanding will be tested. What do you mean by this? For example, the questions can be like, when Krishna says that there is, the devotees can pass during the sun, Uttarayana or Dakshinayan, but the devotees are not disturbed. Why do you think devotees shouldn't be disturbed? So those are the kind of understanding. Like you read the chapter, my tips are, read the chapter, try to see what Krishna is trying to say in this chapter. What is the theme of this chapter? Does it make sense? So just on a high level, if you know, then you can tell others. Haribol, Balivardhan Prabhu, nice to see you. So, okay, Balram, please go ahead with your question. Okay, that's an interesting question which Avantika asked. We had, previously I used to have 5 to 6 questions, essay questions. And I have decided that it is a little too much. So we will have about 3 to 4, not more than that.
Essay questions are a good thing because you said if you didn't have essay questions, then nobody would have passed the test. They're all opinionated, right?
No, my goal is never to fail. I want everybody to pass. But at the same time, I just don't want to... See, this is my dilemma, okay? I'll be honest. There are devotees who study with more interest, there are devotees who study with less interest. The question paper should be such that it should encourage both. There are devotees who gather more, there are devotees who gather less. There are devotees who understand better, some less. So the questions paper should cover the whole spectrum. And to set a good question paper, it's not that easy, trust me. So if you want more essay questions, we can work on some things. I mean, like that shouldn't be a problem. We can have, for example, or write this essay or answer these questions. So we can work out the details. That shouldn't be a problem, right? So, but if you want more essay questions, sure, we can definitely think. But devotees, Balram, does that answer your question? Okay, but be prepared. You just try to understand. Ask your mother or father, what does it mean? You go and ask them, what does this chapter mean? What is Krishna trying to explain here? He's telling me too many things. What do you mean by this? Because both your parents are Bhakti Shastris, they can be able to easily answer. Fair enough? Good. All right, more questions, more comments? Otherwise, we'll stop here. Yes, Shleta Mataji. Mike, for those who are online, especially exam-related questions, everybody wants to know what is happening. Other things, they say it's okay, we'll deal with it later.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
so
Krishna.
After the March 15th exam, right? So the third semester will begin right after that?
There might be some sort of break. It is, again, if the kids are going to India for like 2.5, 3 months, it might make sense to come to do it in August. We can take a very long break, and then we can come back in August. Or we can complete few of the chapters, and then when the kids get break from the school, then we can take a break and re-come. Akrunnath Prabhu, sorry, we are almost done. Please forgive us. Just few more minutes. Thank you. Yeah. So we can do either ways. You can send in if anybody has that plan that I'm taking my kids to India for 2.5, 3 months and I won't be there and I'll miss all the classes, you can raise the concerns to Shamalangi Mataji. If there are not many and we can adjust, then we can continue. We can give a shorter break for a month, and then we can continue. Otherwise, we can work it out. It's flexible.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Then follow school schedule. I see. We'll figure it out. It's okay. Just please send an email to Shamalangi Mataji saying that we want our semester starting from August. And then, based on that, we'll decide. I'm not averse to taking a break myself either, but, we can't take it too long. So, we can work it out. Please let me know. And then it's with extreme pleasure and it's our good fortune that we have His Grace Akrunnath Prabhu, who is giving the Sunday feast lecture. Please welcome him. Thank you, Akrunnath Prabhu, for agreeing to give today's lecture, and all yours. So please.